Hello, hello. Welcome to the Watercraft Journal, the live broadcast on Monday nights. I am the editor-in-chief of the Watercraft Journal. My name is Kevin Shaw. Thank you again for tuning in tonight. We are very excited for tonight's guest, and I want to jump right into it, but I know I have to do the basic news to begin with. So let's get that out of the way because we have some really cool stuff to announce. We got some really cool things happening. And we definitely want to get this one rolling and rolling very quickly. So first and foremost, for those of you who are new to the Watercraft Journal and have never been here before, this is a live podcast that we do every Monday night. We take these podcasts, we cut them up, make small little 3, 4, 5-minute segments, put them out throughout the week. And interspersed in there, we also do personal watercraft review. We do events. We do all sorts of other video content for the YouTube channel, but the YouTube channel is only a very small portion of what we do regularly, and that is we are a digital personal watercraft magazine. Personal watercraft magazines have migrated and changed and evolved over the years. We launched the Watercraft Journal 10 years ago, back in 2013. Excuse me, as a entirely free digital magazine. You can go to www.watercraftjournal.com, check out all the articles that we publish. We write new articles every day, Monday through Friday, entirely subscription free to you. There is no passwords, there's no downloads, there is nothing to sign in. I don't want your personal information. The government already has it. So let's get into a little bit of the news, upcoming stuff that we have going on. We have two really cool articles coming up on the magazine. One of which is a specific video. We paired up with Jared Brussels of JD Waterworld, and he did another upgrade installation on his 2022 Ultra Jet Ski 310 LXS. We worked together with Cowie Performance. We're doing some upgrades on that, and we have a video coming out tonight at midnight of installing this new tensioner spring kit that they have, and JD does the installation for us. There is an article paired with it that is a tutorial. It's a step-by-step how to do. So if you guys are interested in making this upgrade to your supercharged Kawasaki, use this video and article as your tutorial. It's going to be super, super easy for you. After that, we actually have a really cool article that we had Chris from the Adventure State, who's been writing for us for a while, and Chris did a installation, side-by-side installation of a stock versus a K-Speed offshore ride plate on his 2020, I believe, or 21 310X. And we have the article for that, and we have his video that's on the Adventure State also embedded in the article as well. So you can check that out. I know it's two Kawasaki tech articles, but with the new Cowies being out last year, all the aftermarket products are coming out. So there's not a lot of new stuff happening with Sea-Doo and Yamaha. I think the Cowie stuff is kind of their season. And so we're getting a lot of really cool tech and a lot of installation stuff on the Cowies this year. So, okay, we got that. We have been talking with some people about doing a ride in the Gulf. Want to get some feedback from you guys in the comment section, whether you'd be willing to go, what route you'd be interested in doing. I might be making a post on the community portion of the YouTube channel. We want to get everyone's feedback on that. And as I stop and take a drink, I want everyone to welcome Billy. Billy is here. Everyone say hello to Billy. All right. Okay, one last thing, and I can't keep this one secret anymore. I'm too stinking excited. Is while we have a fantastic guest that I'm very, very grateful that he carved out some time to meet with us tonight, and that is with Mark Gomez. Obviously, you've signed in for Mark, not to see me. But next week's guest, we have John Rawl of Kawasaki Motor Corporation USA. John has been the media relations contact. He has been the media guy since I first started in the personal watercraft industry 17 years ago. And John is a dear, dear friend. And John was very excited to be on the show. And he asked that we delay his when I had asked him over a month ago. And he says, you know what? I'd love to do it. Why don't we wait a month? I think I'll have something exciting to announce on your show. So we're pretty stoked for that. I do not know what he's got up his sleeve, but Kawasaki is going to be here officially. We got corporate here. They want to come in. We got some big news coming from them. So we're really, really excited for what next week is going to give us. So I literally do not know what he's gonna say. I honestly invited John. I said, let's just sit around and share stories of us going on rides and goofing off. And he goes, that sounds great, but why don't we wait a month and I'll have something cool to announce. And I said, oh, okay. So that is what is going on. That's the news. Now to our guest, guys. I'm really, really stoked. I've known this guy since he was a senior in high school, and he was I was the editor of Personal Watercraft Illustrated at the time, and I was really hip to what was going on in Oceanside, California with the free ride guys. And these are all the guys who are charging stand-ups out in the surf, the Joe Kennys, the Ross Champions, Randy Lanes, Mike Serlins. These are amazing dudes that were tremendous athletes. And then among this throng of just total hard charging athletes was this little high schooler that they called the Grom, and it was Mark Gomez. And this guy would send it as hard and as high as any one of these dudes. And I'm telling you, we were floored from the very beginning. And so I consider myself very blessed to have known Mark this long, and to watch this young man grow into a fantastic world level champion athlete. Not only is he a multi-time world champion in both IFWA, which is the International Free Ride World Association. Is that right?
Yep. Hang on, I gotta turn on my light in my garage. Technical malfunction.
His motion sensors just tripped off. IFWA champion, multi-time. IJSBA in a tremendous athlete in IJSBA close course, endurance racing, and in flatwater freestyle. He's also the only guest who I think will ever have on the show with his own IMDb page, because he's been in so many movies and commercials and television shows. I really can't go over his resume any longer because it'll just eat up time, and I don't want to. We're just going to talk about what he's done instead of me just regurgitating his resume. So, Mark, thank you very much for being here with us.
Wow, thank you very much, Kevin, for the intro. Wow, yeah, coming up from Oceanside, definitely not. Let me set the record straight. Those guys definitely. Those guys inspired the hell out of me. I wasn't nearly going as big as those guys. It took quite a long time, but I was very blessed to have been in an era where free ride jet skiing made such an impact on so many people's lives. And, I missed the golden era, I could say, of jet skiing, back in the ESPN nautical days. But I'll tell you right now, absolutely no regrets, to the point of feeling where I was at, where things led with freeride and the journey I got to go on, being around Zach Bright, Jake Bright, Chris Rosner, Tanner Thomas, and a handful of my other friends in that era that we were all pushing to kind of not necessarily riding the coattails, but just really going after these great guys, those legends that you talked about in the beginning, going on the IFWA tour and striving to go to the Blowsian Surf Slam events, which it was crazy. It was one event that really shaped, molded our lives for over a decade.
Well, John, look, I want to spend a couple minutes talking about freeride, because freeride, Freeride to me is like when I'm going to admit this and you're going to laugh, but I'm an ass stand-up rider. I am terrible. And it's embarrassing being that I've been in media for this long and I am an amateur stand-up rider, but I am so green with envy in watching surf riding and just guys who can blow lips off of waves and just knock out so many amazing tricks. And I was floored by it. And I think, I was able to hang out with you and I was able to hang out with Ross a lot. And Ross was very giving with his time. Randy Lane would wear you out. If you asked him about surfing, his early surfing when he and his brother were living in Hawaii, he'd wear you out on these stories. And it was so cool. Yep. So me being a poser, and I'll admit it, being a total poser was just awesome just listening to these guys. Unfortunately, I came in right around the time that Joe got hurt. But then John Dady was such a force to be reckoned with himself. And and for you guys who don't know, John Dady was the founder of Blowsion out of Oregon. And John was one of the coolest guys you ever talked to and was so full of stoke. And he made the Blowsion Surf Slam. And I mean, he would drag that corpse across freaking the Mojave Desert to make it happen. He absolutely made that event happen. And guys like John really helped cultivate the world of freeride and basically kind of gave you a platform to shine.
Yeah, absolutely did, Johnny. And so for those of you who don't know what Surf Slam was, pull it up on YouTube. A lot of great videos from the years. We have the IFWA Tour, it's the International Freeride Watercraft Association. This is the sanctioning body and tour that was worldwide. Been going through a little bit of a hardship through, thanks COVID, ruined everything. But
right.
This contest ended up there at Tierra Del Mar Beach in Pacific City, Oregon, and it's where two riders go head-to-head in a contest with 5 judges watching. 2 riders are head-to-head in the surf, breaking waves, half judged on surf riding, half judged on like freestyle motocross, all the jumps and flips and spins that you guys love. But really, again, really difficult event to pull off if you don't have a location. So Oregon was it was a proving ground because it was always cold. It was always crappy. We got some spurts of good weather, of course, but it was Oregon. The water was frigid. The waves were merciless. Like one of the first events that we had there, the first surf slam that existed, the first actual contest that had existed, because before that it was the Blowsion Beach Party, and I only got to go to one of those, and that was a phenomenal sort of deal. That's kind of what kicked the free ride contest into gear, to have Surf Slam. But man, that contest, the first year we had legitimately, I think it was like a king tide that recently had showed up again, combined with a massive swell that came in, and it was 30-foot swells or more. I mean, it was, I remember being on party waves with my group of friends practicing, and there's a road that comes in that kind of crests down this mountain, and I remember feeling like on this party wave with all my friends, super lazy, big slab, making eye contact with people that were driving down this cliff. I mean, if you know, you know, but
yes,
legitimately all kinds of conditions. Skis have gotten swallowed up there and died and gotten never to be seen again. Nobody died there in the contest, but I mean, just really rough stuff. So great contest, and really grateful to have Johnny, who put that together, Blowsion, through their legacy, for Johnny to have seen it through then a couple years after he had passed.
Yeah. It really gave us a whole branch of jet skiing that, I mean, don't get me wrong, guys were playing in the surf in the 70s, and I understand, hey, listen, if you're out on a 400, you're out on a 440 and they're brapping around in the surf, and that's one thing. But I think by the early 2000s, we really started to see the nascent industry of dedicated free ride machines, and they started cutting weight, and they started, I think Eric Malone was developing, he was developing his first poles, and all these guys were developing product, and they were getting into Carl was pretty big in that too, with ADA, right?
Carl Gramberg was Cold Fusion. He
that's right.
pioneered a lot. He was one of our judges, still one of the really solid component to the free ride scene. Really gave it his all, put in a lot of parts, mainly sponsored guys. Gave my people like myself, Zach Bright, and a ton of other riders in the SoCal, general like West Coast area, a lot of support. Funded projects with like Ross Champion, and really that again catalyzed a lot of other free ride opportunities that inspired more people to ride and come to events. But yeah, going back to it, like at that era, it was, Yamaha Superjet. The reason why free ride resonated so well and got such popularity is you could have just, I came in with a 550, 440, like you could do a lot with a little. Now, granted, the superior watercraft at the time was just your generic Yamaha Superjet, and that was a real go-to at the time. Aftermarket hulls started to dabble into it, and it excelled it to another level. I mean, the level of surf riding, like when Taylor Curtis got on a Richter and showed you what's capable on a ski like that, when then Pierre Maxent on a surf riding level, it was like nuts. It was like night and day difference. Then you get Pierre Maxent who hops on one and goes out and rips the world's first double backflip in the surf. I mean, just mind-boggling stuff. And then it all just big motors, like the freestyle community or technology kind of got in an influence in a free ride, but there still was like this tuning funnel to get it to where it's reliable yet powerful, yet linear. So then when you're in a contest with a guy who's got a bigger power or engine, he's maybe more subtle when the conditions are really cranking, and he's a little more gun shy to really go for it. Where if you've got a little lighter weight, or not lighter weight, nothing really was about weight. It was mostly about just how the ski handled and how much power you had to utilize it. But you could just come at this, on a 701, come at it tapped and get massive air and know that you've got your landing and your position, your body position covered and you're landing well, versus a guy who's just a little gun shy to hit that wave. Now, both ways could happen. You're playing all sides of the field. You want to explore out the back of the waves where the sets are massive and it's harder to judge and you could get swallowed. You wanted to be on the inside where it's easier to jump, but then the waves are more critical, so you want to surf there. So the fascinating part about free ride was just understanding the chess game that it was when you really look at two of the best riders going for half surf riding and half jumps, and watching them play that field. And either one could get into each other's head because you're head to head. You're watching the other guy send it and you're going, oh my God, I need to jump right now. Or vice versa. You see Taylor Curtis ripping the face off of waves and you're like, all I've done is jump for the last 5 minutes. I needed to start doing some surf riding. And you start looking at waves. So it was really this head game that free ride would do for you. And that's where like Randy Lane was massively important in my, kudos to him. He's one of the godfathers of free riding. Super consistent on surf riding. Meeting him in Oceanside, he was one of the first people I kind of just like pulled him aside at the launch ramp. I was like, hey, Randy, I'm interested in competing because Surf Slam gave us young riders the first ever contest. There was an amateur contest. So it gave not only the pros a reason to go, they're like, we got all these Groms coming up. Let's give them a platform. So it was on. So got some coaching from him and just things to look out for, because we'd just go out. Free ride to its core is open. Like, it's a sole expression of yourself on your machine. It's like painting, and it's like, I don't know, it's like a blank canvas, right? And you paint it with your style, how you ride the ski, how you incorporate with the waves. But in a contest, you do have to do a little bit of balancing, with that. So it was really unique to get some boundaries from Randy Lane to at least kind of understand what is the game? How do I play this game? And then start to hone in your riding from there. So it was pretty fascinating to get that from these guys.
Now, have you seen a little bit of that I don't want to say community, because I think everyone's still very friendly, and a lot of people, would reunite very, very easily. I mean, but have we seen a little bit of that portion of the sport start to cool? Because I mean, yeah, we still have Pismo, we have Daytona, and those aren't necessarily those aren't contests, but those are more of a casual meet. They're more fun. But I don't think we're seeing the animation behind it.
Yeah, it's tough. Freeride's really near and dear to my heart because I spent, majority of my, post graduating high school all the way until just about damn well when I turned 30 to pursuing it like full time, like full stop. Like that is all I really committed to doing. So, but with the tours internationally, sponsorships, kind of actually being there for Freeride, because the actual events themselves catalyzed companies to want to gain support. Like it was so hard when it did lose a little bit of its steam, and it has, unfortunately, mainly because of locations and contests. Okay. You cannot have a tour the way the IFWA. It's not like this association where Freeride was grassroots, still is to this day. The association came on board to basically have that. Here's your structure. Here's helping you align with your judges. So they would work hand in hand with the promoter. So if there's no promoter that has an event, we don't, and then is interested in having the IFWA come on board, we don't have a platform. So unfortunately, when all these events kind of COVID came in and really kicked things in the nuts, it really hurt that. So we have these individual freeride events, which are great and they thrive. You see a lot of great people there and everybody's still riding well. But honestly, yeah, without the actual contest to look forward to provide a bit of ranking and a bit of merit and just some sort of, you got to have that carrot on the stick. People still do progress. There's still riders that are doing really well, but there's no difference than having an actual series and contest of events to look forward to. And what did that rider do? I mean, that was everything for us, for me, for Zach Bright, for Jake. I mean, we were looking at Pierre, Taylor, Ross, like these guys going at it in these finals was everything to us as far as inspiration goes, and setting the bar on where you got every day when you got to Oceanside was like, it was a melee. Like we were going out and somebody was getting towed in. Mostly Zach. But he sent it and he did phenomenal. So it's like risk and reward, baby. Risk and reward. No. But
100%. Yeah. So from here, from Freeride and gravitating into IFWA, you also took, because you didn't let any grass grow in between there, and you also pursued stunt work. You're getting into stunt work by 2010, 2011, and you also were doing a little bit of racing. Now, I mean, the racing stuff is fun because it was like I knew I could depend on you to show up at like Huntington Beach. And I knew, anytime they did, the rare race in the surf, I was like, okay, there's Gomez.
Oh, I'm there. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
that's.
Can I bring something up? And I know it's stupid social media, but I have to share my take on this. I think it was probably 2013, 2014. Was a Huntington Beach race that Ross Wallach put on, and it was a vintage lights class or a vintage 550 class. I don't know what class you're in, but you had the field. You had already pulled ahead of the field, and you saw a nice set rolling in, and you're like, I'm going to take this. And you executed this beautiful barrel roll during your lap. And I was like, dude, excellence. This is just like demonstrating excellence. All right. And it was so funny because it was so flawless, and you just landed it and just kept going, and you got your checkered, and everyone's like, dude, that was amazing. But what was so funny was that like the day later, or maybe even that night, people started bitching. They were like, "Oh, Gomez he had to show off. Oh, look at that guy!" They got so mad, and I'm sitting there. And it's like, were you watching the 1995 Chicago Bulls and saying they really should do something about Jordan doing so many dunks?
Yeah,
it's like,
well,
let the guy
well,
do
thanks.
let the guy do what he does well. And I just laughed. I was like,
we're having fun. I mean, well, I appreciate you thinking so highly of it. It's, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, I had a lot of fun. 550. Yeah. I mean, 3 things: surf riding. That's my realm. A lot of time involved. 550, near and dear to my heart. Grew up riding one. Like, spent a lot of time, put in a lot, like years. Like, not as many years now as I put in other equipment, but some of the longest 3-4 years of my life, probably more than that, probably 4 or 5 years, that I really like dug in and was like all in on a 550. So that meant a lot. And then, yeah, a nice little tasty wave comes, and I got the capability, and I'm having fun. You know, one of my childhood idols, a lot of people idolize, Travis Pastrana. You know, what does the guy do? And especially now, knowing him even more now, it's like he has fun with everything he does. If you're not having fun, why the hell are you doing it? So yeah, there's some rules. Yeah, there's some boundaries, but when you got everything in the right place, like, yeah, that was a ton of fun. And on top of that, I think one of the other highlights on that race, I don't know if it was that race because we did it for 2 years.
Well, Brian Sawyer, one of our commenters, said that it was at Daytona 2015. He brought it right up. He goes,
yeah, that wasn't on a 550. Yeah, that was when I just threw my free ride Superjet in and mucked it up with those guys. And yeah, I busted a barrel roll in the race, and everybody that was good times. A lot of people remind me every year I go, and that was because it was damn fun. Yeah, damn fun. Yeah. And then the 550 race. No. And then the on the 550 race, I remember I had an exhaust leak, and I had a decent lead, I think. And I was like, dude, I'm not going down in this race because of a stupid exhaust leak. So I pitched the hood, tossed it in the middle of the surf, and finished like another 3 laps with no hood. And that was a lot of fun, screaming down the pier with just an angry 550 that's even angrier. And the fact that I survived and I didn't like sink the ski, like it was pretty fun.
I love it. It's so yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I spent a lot of time in the tray of a 550, and I still would not dare the south side of the Huntington Beach Pier. So I got to give it to you on that one. That's pretty bitching. All right, so I'm checking things off the list here because I want to make sure I get it.
No worries.
So, all right, so we touched a little bit on a little bit of the buoy course racing, and I think that's it. I think that, I mean, don't get me wrong, a competitor is going to compete, but again, it's not necessarily your primary focus so much, and especially in that time frame, I kind of want to segue into your stunt career and getting into being on camera. So, how did you go from Surf Slam and IFWA into getting into being on camera?
So having met Larry Rippenkroger at World Finals, just going to meet him and Scott Watkins and Fischetti and relive my jet dreams, kind of, those were the guys that inspired me to ride. Meeting Larry kind of got on his radar. That stunt industry is very jet skiing specifically is very extremely niche in the stunt and film industry. There have been a lot of movies with stand-up jet ski stunts or jet ski stunts, and I'm just not the first phone call. There's great stuntmen and women out there that are crushing it. You have to fit the look. It has to be appropriate. All the stars have to align. And I happen to get lucky where Ken Jeong from The Hangover, little Mr. Chow, Leslie Chow, was doing an Adidas commercial. And they needed him he was set to ride in a jet ski in a swimming pool for an Adidas commercial. So I happened to be the best height, weight, look that could stunt double him. So I got a call connected from Larry and threw me into that pool. And it was a lot of fun because I was riding a 550, a gold painted 550 in a gold outfit. You probably might be able to pull up the video. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really eye opening to the whole, film industry per se. But what was super interesting is it's not going to be on there. It'll be on that sheet that I had shared with you, Kevin.
Okay. All right. Here,
I don't think I'd put it on my YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like Adidas Slim Chin. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I never hosted the video. I should repost it. But that was actually a national. What was really cool about that? That was a national commercial during the basketball playoffs. So it got like crazy airtime. Not long, but just during that height. Like it's borderline a Super Bowl commercial. So financially, it really eye-opening to me when I got that mail check money from it. It was like, okay, cool. And I dumped it right back into my jet ski. So it was pretty rad. I don't know. I think I got a pump upgrade or something that year. But
nice.
Nonetheless, that catapulted me into being to be in the union for stunts. You have to get Taft-hearted, which is somebody has to seek you out like a producer and say, this guy is the guy that needs to do our film. They pay a bunch of penalties and dues and make you eligible. Yeah, here's that video right now. That's the moment, right? Yep. That's it. Jet skiing and full caviar. That was it. Yep. And I'm that guy, but I'm not that guy. But yeah, so that was my very first stunt gig. Super fun. And then actually at the end of that video, people who watch it later, there's like he's on a lady pyramid, and then I doubled that, and they had me screaming obscenities for about 5 minutes, and they didn't really have to, but so, I was a new guy. But anyways, being eligible in the union, there was a movie being filmed in Isla Mirada called I Am Number 4, and that was my first feature film, which was literally like just a couple months after that. And I got cast they happened to have a scene where they were jet skiing. And so I got cast with Eric Malone. Eric Malone stunt doubled the lead actor. And I was in there in the background season, but that was 1 week in Isla Mirada turned into 2 weeks because of production delays. But fast forwarding, talking to Larry Rippenkroger about his ordeal with Waterworld and how it started from, you're going to be out in Hawaii for 1 week, turned into like something crazy, like 8 months. Like it was like, cool to have like a similar story. And then what was really crazy is, I think I've told this story before, is I grew up watching Jet Dreams, so that was like massive for me. I ended up working with Scott Watkins' brother Whitey, who's like the equipment wrangler for this gig.
Yeah,
we had time off. Whitey's like, hey, you want to come snorkeling? He's like, cool, meet me at this address. We'll go out from my parents' house. I'm like, cool, no problem. I show up. I'm kind of like looking around this backyard. I'm like, this looks kind of weird. I'm like looking at the dock. He's getting this Yamaha jet boat ready to go. And I'm looking around. He's like, hey, you're a Jet Dreams fan, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you recognize this place? And I'm like looking around. I'm like, holy shit. He's like, you're at the Jet Dreams house, kid. Like, it just like goosebumps right now. It was crazy.
At his parents' house?
That was Watkins' parents' place in Isla Mirada. I mean, it looked different. They had landscaped it. A couple of hurricanes had come through, but the little davit that they used in the beginning of the movie where they dumped the 550s in, and like their bedroom where Waddy's all like, having his his dream, and he gets up and they're all stretching and doing a bunch of like zero maintenance that never is appropriate before you go riding just for the film. It was like really funny, but just seeing it, and it's just like my life. And that moment was so rad that it was like a magnet, right? Like, I don't know. It wasn't like
funny.
Just really cool. It was just the freaking coolest. And I appreciate the hell out of it because, man, that was really special. The thing that I watched as a kid relentlessly.
All right, I got one
at that place.
I got to share this one because it also is correlated with free ride and freestyle. All right. Yeah. So I'm at PWI. And I can't remember the name of the shop, the guy who built this Superjet, but it was a freestyle Superjet, and he wanted me to go out and ride it. And I said, well, I suck, but I'll happily ride it, whatever. And he goes, I'm going to bring Clay Cullen out. I go, oh, I know Clay. I met him.
Yep.
You know, I knew of Clay, and I had met him once at like World Finals in like 06 or something like that. And so we all go out to the Long Beach, the Marine Stadium, and we're hanging out. We're waiting for the guy with the ski to show up, and we're waiting for my photographer, Andrea Wilson. And I start talking to Clay, and I go, Clay, huh? And he goes, yeah. And I said, you know, I got to laugh. I said, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of a guy with the same last name named Peter Cullen. And he goes,
Yeah.
you know, that's my dad, right? I go, your dad's Peter Cullen?
Yeah,
and
his dad's like, Optimus Prime.
His dad was Optimus Prime. When I was like 7, I jokingly say I was like 8 years old when the movie came out. I was that kid who was inconsolable when Optimus Prime died. Like my mom wrote letters to Hasbro. Like I was like, they killed Optimus Prime. Like I was that kid.
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. He goes, are you serious? I'm like, dude, I got it. I'm like, I still have an original 1984 Optimus Prime. It's not in a box. It's all worn out. And he goes, hold on a minute. And he gets on his phone and he just walks away. I said, no problem. And I make small talk. And all of a sudden, Clay walks up and he goes, here you go. And he hands me his phone. And I'm like, what? I go, hello? And I just hear, hello, Kevin. This is Optimus Prime. And I'm like, I'm 30 years old. And I'm like, he literally just introduced himself as Optimus Prime. And I almost dropped the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he just laughed because I screamed like a girl. I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
When Clay gets inducted into the IJSBA Hall of Fame, you know, we're at the what's the name of your lights went off.
I know. Too techy around here. Not my podcast studio.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We're at the awards ceremony because they're inducting Clay in there. So I'm like, of course I'm going to be there. So I'm hanging off in the shadows, and I'm there with. Do you remember Justin Standard, who used to work with me? And we had Justin, and we had oh shoot, who else was with us? But there was 3 of us. And we were standing there, and I watched Peter Cullen walk by. And he makes like 3 or 4 laps. And I'm like, where the hell is he going? And he keeps going back to the bar, and he's walking back with whiskey sours. He's got 2 of them. Each time, I'm like, this guy's putting them away. And he's a little tiny dude. I mean, Peter Cullen's a little tiny guy. And he's walking, and I'm like, I'm watching Peter Cullen get sloshed over the night. And it's so funny. And I'm talking to Justin, and I go, you know who that is? And he goes, no. I go, that's Peter Cullen. He goes, who the hell's Peter Cullen? I go, dude, he's the voice of Optimus Prime. I'm like, he's this. I name all the
Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
Eeyore, yes, he's Eeyore. You know, he's Monterey Jack on Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I'm naming all these cartoons from my youth. And he hears me. He hears me, and he walks over, and he goes, what's going on, boys? And I said, Mr. Cullen, my name's Kevin Shaw. You know, I relay that I'm like, your son put you on the phone to say I'm Optimus Prime. And I said, that made my day. Thank you so much. It was a real treat. And I said, I just wanted to thank you again, Mr. Cullen. It was the second time I called Mr. Cullen. And he reaches out, he grabs my hand, and he does the Donald Trump. He pulls me in. He grabs my hand, he pulls me in, and he goes, just call me Peter. And he does it with Optimus's voice. And I just like, I get all excited again.
Got him.
Again, I had to share that moment because it was so funny that it was like, oh, hey, you grew up watching Jet Dreams. This is the bedroom. Yeah. This is the backyard. And it was, sorry, I had to share that.
No, exactly. No, it's totally there. And what's funny is that, like, Clay Cullen he was my stunt coordinator on that movie. So Clay's like, you know,
unreal.
Also unreal, like, resume holder, like in jet skis, legend, in film and television. The guy is a machine. Like, he's like in it, like we're out there in sunshine. I'm getting burnt to a crisp, like getting all kinds of tan. He's like wearing long coats. I'm like, why are you doing that, Clay? He's like, well, if you get really tan, it's easier to put on a tan for a gig than it is to like look whiter. And it's like straight up, like he's a machine. He's in the film industry. Wow. Like he is, you know, it's like, that's like one little example, but it's just like the guy's there to work. Like he is still to this day is working his tail off. I mean, I've had 2-3 jobs thanks to Clay, and yeah, the guy's also just a free riding legend too. Like, guy's got style for days. So it's really special when you get to see Clay. And there's a really funny Instagram called not Clay Cullen, which is made by a bunch of his Instagram friends that like in the stunt business, and they post all kinds of videos just like Clay. He's not really on social media much. He's a pretty cool cat. He just stays in his lane and does a lot of rad stuff behind the scenes. But his buddies will post some photos on there of, like, you know, when he's on set as a cop eating a donut or something. And it's just really, really funny. If you know a little bit about Clay and you watch this Not Clay Cullen, it's pretty funny. It's like an anonymous account posting on behalf of Clay. It's pretty entertaining.
Okay. So, all right. So let's get into this a little bit more. So you mentioned Larry and him, you know, obviously his experience with Waterworld that segued into a show at Universal Studios. And I know you got a chance to be in that for a little bit, right?
Yeah, so doing the movie and the film gave me the confidence to be like, okay, well, I've got a resume now. I'm kind of in this stunt industry. Talked to Mike Serlin at the time and a couple other guys, Rich Vieira, and, you know, got a little confidence to be like, hey, if they're having auditions, like, I'm going to go audition. Where can I fit in? Well, I'm too damn small to be a Mariner, even though it's, you know, what I want to do is ride a stand-up jet ski. But when I'm like freaking, what's his name? Got right up there.
I had to look it up. Sorry.
Yeah, it's split my sides, dude. It's so funny. But anyways, he'll probably be angry I brought this up. All right, get out of there. Yeah, but it's funny. Anyways, went to this audition. Got a little bit of tips and tricks from some of the guys, learn how to do a high fall. I realized that I'm going to end up being
the
X2 rider. And I went to the audition, got a call back, went to the water callback, did really well. And then, trained in. But when I trained in at Waterworld, it was like, man, I'm so lucky I got in when I got in, because the cast there was like, it was this really rad environment where these guys were like legacy people.
Cool.
Insane amount of talented people that all worked in film and television, but then worked at this show. So the culture there was really like, they're professionals, like crazy stunt people with crazy, like, not egos, but just like they were wild animals. And you put us in this cage and put us in this show. And then once you watched and you knew the nuances of the show, the little isms and things that, like, the show was fun, but every show was fun because there's so many little audibles and little ways you could not, the show always ended up at the same point. But again, these little things that we would notice, or people who watch the show would notice, that made it just hilarious, or just like, holy crap, I can't believe we got through that. The camaraderie that was part of it.
Cool.
And kind of getting in that area and kind of like earning my stripes with that team, and deadheading a bunch of shows, which means going in and like basically like doing them for free. And then maybe they'll give you their last show. Like, you'd work all their shift, and then they would give you like their last show as payment, you know, and then you would do your shift of shows. But this was your way to like get shows in and get better, and then also kind of earn the respect of your peers, that eventually when they go on vacation or have a conflict, an audition, and a show that they're doing, or a stunt gig, they pass you some, you're in line, you're in that calling order. Really cool. Really grateful I had that experience with those guys, and then grew with the company as they transitioned. And now, really happy. Then my career I ended up just getting a little too busy to go to LA every other day to work. So kind of free ride jet skiing and kind of took me. I started going on the IFWA tour and whatnot. So I was just kind of gone, you know. So really happy I had that opportunity. Really, really happy.
Now, from there and your previous movie and commercial experiences, that allowed you to get into to book more commercials, right?
Yeah, just kind of putting myself out there. Like, I built myself a foundation. That was like a bit of the transition into freestyle. Tanner Thomas was really going after it. I was like deadhead free ride, like spearheading that. 2016-ish, the XFR came out from Richter, and Taylor put this ski together, and I was just
yeah.
something about it clicked, where like I was the crappiest freestyle rider on planet Earth. I've been trying to do a flat water flip for years, and I could not figure it out. I was just all kinds of bad. Got on the ski, and somehow everything made sense, and it started clicking off. And just like in free ride, I got that momentum, and I started going, okay, well, flip. Okay, now I'll flip. Like I started to bring my free ride side into the freestyle side with progression, and it really just like catapulted my existence in the freestyle. And then doing stuff like this, getting in a dinosaur costume and doing some flips for a fun video that ended up going super viral
that went
worldwide.
insane. When this hit, this was everywhere. This was on the nightly news.
Yeah, it got picked up by licensed to video. Kyle and Ryan at Risen Wild, they ended up kind of helping edit, produce it, and host it to make it more of like a fun edit. But then the clips of it ended up getting picked up by what is that show? I've been on it twice, not as an interview, but the Inside Edition. The Inside Edition picked it up, so that's big. So it went pretty nuts. So that was really cool. But that getting in the freestyle allows you to go do free ride like things right in front of somebody, like in a pool, in a body of water. So that was really fun, really unique. Much easier to bring shows with that versus what I love to do with free ride. And just you have to have the right setup. You have to have a beach. You have to have the permitting. Everything has to line up perfectly. Just simply mathematically not as tangible as freestyle. So then that's
freestyle,
what kind of helped
you got
me
water, you can do it.
Yep. So that's kind of what transitioned into getting a gig with SeaWorld eventually.
Right, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, but I do want before we get into SeaWorld, I do want to mention one thing is that I have heard, and one of the funnier quotes is that someone said that Mark Gomez is most likely personally responsible for destroying more suburban swimming pools than any other person, and only because
Prove it. If there's a little coping scratch, you know what? I'll be there. I mean, it's just a cool story, bro. I didn't destroy nothing. I've actually been pretty fortunate. I love tap here and there. We all learn, but at the same time, I've made a pretty successful career so far out of doing the pool stunts. Do my job to mitigate risk. I'm not the one that's going to clobber into the side of the pool. It's just it's cool, but then you lose insurance. It's funny. It's always good to have that highlight reel of gonzo sort of moments, but they really in reverse effect, they really do. It really halts all progress in being able to do these things at gigs and certain events. So really lucky that
I think the joke. I think the joke was very tongue in cheek in the fact that it's you've done more stunt work in swimming pools than any other venue. We see you in swimming pools time and time again. And
hey man, water's water, dude. If it's a bowl of water, let's go.
That's incredible control. I mean, a swimming pool really isn't that big when you start to think about it. You're like, wait a minute. You know, it's oh, hey, we're going to do a backflip at Kokomo's. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But then you realize you're that's not a big pool.
No. Well, Kokomo's is actually pretty big for what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but yeah. But then Monty, Jet Jam Racing, he built the pool in his backyard, and that's a 10 by 20. And I walked up to it. I had a beer or something. I was just yeah, dude, your pool's sick. You think you'd flip it? I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And then we get the ski in the pool. And it's half the freaking, it's already a little less than half the distance. When it's my actual jet skis in the pool. And then I had brought Jet Pilot there, and we're doing a photo shoot. And I'm like, well, I can't pitch out now. So damn it. So, and then you hear me that there's a viral video where again, I'm I take a big breath. I'm I'm literally just enough room to where I had to Taylor Curtis and Monty holding the ski like a jet ski, like a race, like a juniors race start, one on each side. with the pump into the back, like he had like a little like spot where you put the table, a little Baja, whatever. It's like where you put a umbrella table, and it was just enough to yield me a couple extra inches where the pump's back there. I get the ski started. I'm already kicked into the bindings, and it's like boom, 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 and I'm like, I get them to lower it to where it's got pump water in the pump, so I know it's not going to like do some weird cavitation or hiccup. And I just go, and they let go, and I get on the gas, land on the other side of the pool, like just right out of their arms, land on the other side, flip, land, and as I get off the gas and float with forward momentum, it comes right back into their arms, into their hands, like the nose of the ski. And that was it. Yeah. It was like that much. God, it was like I'd never do it again. I will not do it again. I mean, maybe for a little bit I'm not going to do it again.
That's the old joke of like a guy jumping off a super high dive into a barrel of water. It's like, dude, that was so tight to do that. So
it was such a bad idea. Such a bad idea. In hindsight,
it was so perfect
dumb.
Though. It was perfect.
Oh yeah. So anyway, high five, Monty.
Well,
I don't
think anyone else could have pulled that off, dude. You absolutely kill it on these things. That's why I got to give it to you for the swimming pools. You know, I'm giving you a hard time and I'm busting your chops, but I mean I
like what I do.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so let's get into SeaWorld. Let's do the SeaWorld one.
Sure. Yeah. So SeaWorld came about. I'd gotten a call. Tommy Nuthall, awesome guy, high school wrestling coach, great freestyle rider on sit down jet skis, but also cultivates a lot of shows. Typhoon Tommy. He worked with Eric Malone. He's just an all around amazing guy. He connected me with SeaWorld, which was under direction of Dan Stewart, World Entertainment Services. They coordinated this show for SeaWorld. It had been going for years, called Cirque de Mer, which then became Cirque Electrique, which was a nighttime show. They had acrobats, and it was all lit up, really, really awesome. And they had a jet blade act, flyboard act, that was illuminated. And they're like, we want more motorsport action. Like, what else can we bring? So they said, well, freestyle jet ski. Let's look into that. And then I got the call talking about it, saying, hey, can we like rent a ski? Maybe you can have a performer come. And I'm like, wait, what are you guys doing? It's like, okay. So I got some details laid out. Like, clearly they're looking for a bid on entertainment. So I laid it all out. Taylor Curtis was going to build a jet ski. I lined out performers, the schedule, the salary, the time frame, the maintenance, the extra parts, like to make sure, because the one thing I learned in show business, like through Waterworld, is if you are contracted, that always goes up. And jet skis are notorious for having issues. So I did everything I could to have the best components to mitigate and make sure that show went up every single night for 1 to 2 shows a night. And I got the gig, I got the contract, and I put it all together. Taylor built a phenomenal ski. We then had LED engineer come in and put all the LEDs on it for the show. And I had that first year, Tanner Thomas and Hassan Abudawood come in and help me open the show, and we all took our turns, and it went really rad. The next year I had Tanner and I had Jace Forrest backing me up. So I got to do that for 2 years, and it was really rad to go from the beginning of May, I believe, end of May, I think. Basically June, July, and then like kind of sprizzled out into August, became weekends only. And then like Labor Day was like the last show, but every single night performing in front of 3,000 people was like at night, like with all these LEDs and having a freaking hedgehog, LED helmet. It was just such a radical experience. It's like, I had to like pinch myself there when I hear the crowd roaring, because it was a phenomenal show. Everybody there was so cool. The acrobats, like hanging out in the background, watching them train, getting to work on the ski. Like, it was really rewarding experience. And the weather in San Diego in the summertime doesn't suck either. So then getting to go ride during the day or do that at night, wake up the next morning, be able to go ride Oceanside with some of my buddies, and then come back and do the evening show. Like, just, that was such a rad deal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting paid. I get ridiculous. Like Harry Banks says, like, I don't have to do this. I get to do this. And that was really, really freaking cool. So really, really cool. And that kind of pushed my confidence and ability to start like actually quoting, and like still like very appreciative. Like, I don't bypass a Clay Cullen or anybody. Like, I still get, those are the goats. Like, they provide the work. Like, if I fit the bill. But then I've still been, through their blessing, get contracted like, okay, music videos for like Oliver Tree, coordinated that, wrote in that. Charlie XCX coordinated that, wrote in that. Really cool like opportunities for those music videos and like TV shows and whatnot. That's been a fun ride.
All right. So let's go a little personal. I
Oh boy.
want to say it's been 4 years you've been married.
Yeah. Yep.
It's been 4 years.
2009. Yeah. Yeah. Right before COVID.
Right. Right before COVID.
Yep.
And then you moved to Havasu in 21.
No. My wife, Kaylee, and I, we moved to Havasu in 2019. That summer, because we were expecting to go do. Yeah. We were expecting to go do. We kind of had a little bit of a plan, like most people. We moved to Havasu because we're gonna rent it. We rented a place. We're gonna feel it out, and then that like May, we're gonna then move to over and do the residency at SeaWorld. So then that didn't happen. You know, we got married. Everything was awesome. It was like a big move in, and then we got World Finals and we got married. Then SeaWorld didn't happen because of COVID, and we ended up just kind of staying there. We rented another house, went back to the other house. We moved like 2 or 3 times, and then ended up like, okay, well, we're here. We like it here, and we ended up finally purchasing a house.
Now, for everyone who doesn't know, Mark's wife is a tremendous athlete on her own accord, and I want you to sing her praises a little bit, because I was floored when I'm like, oh, wait a minute, like she could kick his ass. This is impressive. So I was really floored. I was like, oh man, okay, this is a match of equals. I like this.
So I'm extremely lucky.
Let everyone know. Yeah,
I met my wife Kaylee at didn't meet her at Surf Slam, but I saw her there because she and her family are from Oregon. So the last Surf Slam, not the last Surf Slam. Yep. And then I was at Surf Slam the first year. I won my first World Championship in 2015 for IFWA. So I was there. I made my speech. Posted on Instagram, hey, I won. She had made a comment on there, like I'd seen her, like a little hot thing in a teal bikini, plotting around the beach. And I'm like, oh, I'm too scared to talk to her. So then she hit me up and it was all like, hey, you did good. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, you want to learn how to backflip the jet ski? And then we corresponded from there, and then started going back and forth. And then she came to some events. And then we just continued dating from there, long distance. And we ended up going with me on IFWA tour. Then all the tours after that, like every IFWA tour, she went with me on national tour. Like we traveled a lot, like full commitment. Like it built it, wasn't easy, but she made that happen to be with me. And then on top of that, then getting her dog Jet, which didn't stop us from traveling. He went with us to Portugal, France, and Spain. Like he went to the European part of the tour, and then like it was just, I'm really, really lucky. She rides. She's a boating family. She likes wakeboarding. I went with her. She competed on the world tour.
That's what I was going to ask. That she competes in wakeboarding. She's
she competes in wakeboarding. Yeah, she really enjoys it. She never really got like to the pro category. She tries to keep it very, very honest with where she's at. She sincerely enjoys it. And that's the thing is I'm so proud of her because she went out there and she did it. But then more importantly than that, she did it, but then realized that it's really just didn't really bring enjoyment for her. I freaking hate competing, but from my wrestling background and just like being in it, it never got better. I just know how to mentally cope with competing, because we all love to do what we do more. Like I love free riding. Do I love competition free riding? Not really. Do I love freestyle? Yes. Do I like competing? Rather not. But at the same time, just because of how much extra they just toss this rhino of pressure on top of you, and whether it's somebody else, it's yourself, because you are clearly going into an arena against really better riders than yourself, and you got to turn it on. So again, it was just kind of like that, having that perspective where she just really enjoyed doing what she did, and then choosing to just, and not, she actually like rides more now than she was when she was like trying to compete, and she loves it.
Cool.
And it gets me out in the water. We still to this day take out her boat, and she gets to go wake surf. She's really into wake surfing, wake skimming, and she still wakeboards when it's glassy, which is kind of rare because Havasu is pretty windy.
Right.
But she's phenomenal. I'm so lucky to have her in my life, and my dog Chet. We're working on a family, and we've had a couple bumps in the road, but really really appreciate everybody's prayers and support along the way, and really looking forward to that milestone here. Hopefully
Great.
down the road when it works.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really happy for you.
Yep.
I thought Havasu came a little later, but it was almost at the same time, so that's really cool. All right,
it all really bottlenecked. Yep.
Yeah, well, when it rains, it pours, but in a really good way. So 2 big things this year for you, and one of them globally, and one of them a little bit more, industry, was obviously the Mark Hahn, and coming in second with Bobby Kearns, and that's a big accomplishment with Kawasaki, and we want to talk about that. But let's talk about Travis and Gymkhana.
Oh, Gymkhana. Holy crap. Yeah.
Right. That's
last year.
So we had to talk about that.
Yeah. So I could try to kind of abbreviate, because it was last year. I tried to repeat it this year at Daytona, and it was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. But last year's trip to Daytona was just like, planned to just go there, but then all this stuff happened. Getting with Black Rifle Coffee. I went to the founder JT's house on the way to, my wife and I committed to go into Daytona. We're going there. I had heard some rumblings about like, maybe there's a big athlete coming on board the team. I'm like, okay, like what's going on? I get to JT's house and I'm talking to him, and JT's one of the founders, the guy who brought me on Black Rifle Coffee. He's like, I'm like, hey dude, like I just saw Travis post a story and he's got like a Black Rifle hat on and he's like drinking Black Rifle, but nothing's official. He's like, oh, you don't know? I'm like, what do you mean I don't know? Like, what do I don't know? What is going on? And then he's like, dude, this video is gonna launch tomorrow. And I'm in his bar watching the release video that then posted the next day, officially announcing Travis had switched from Red Bull to Black Rifle. So holy crap, crazy. I go to Daytona. I get to Daytona. I'm in my hotel room checking in. I just had a great ride. Come in and I look at my phone. Travis is calling me. I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, hey man, you around? I'm like, yeah, I'm at Daytona. I got an event. He's like, what are you doing next week? I'm like, what am I doing next week? So he's like, hey, can you jump your jet ski over my rally car, but you can't make a wake? And I'm like, how? I don't want to say no, but yeah, I kind of want to say how, but I'm like, well, we could do, like, I gave him a couple options. He's like, okay, well, let me get back to you. And gets back to me. All of a sudden it's like, hey, it's Travis. I got Scott from Hoonigan on the phone. It's like, okay, this is like happening. And so sure enough, down the road, like a lot of things kind of got played with, ideas got played with, but these guys straight up, Doug, like, they're like, okay, you can come. Okay, these are the parameters you can do. Okay, what can you do in this space? What can you do in this space? And then it ended up being where they are at this airfield and they dug that hole. They got an excavator, dug it all out, tried to line it. I messed that up. They had to pull the liner out. And then, Travis coming in, Mach freaking, 115 miles an hour, and I'm jumping his wake, playing chicken with him in a 868 horsepower freaking Subaru, Dude. Family huckster. Dude. It was. I didn't quite understand the magnitude of what it was because I've always watched Gymkhanas, but then like actually being there was just so overwhelming. And then to watch it like years later, because then the next day, like we said bye to him, we were like we hung out in the lobby in Fort Lauderdale area, and we're kind of burning it down, having a couple drinks. And he's like, hey, I got to go to bed early. I got a big stunt in the morning. We're like, hey, no problem. We got a picture with him, and he went upstairs. Kayla and I went to bed. The next morning was when he did the freaking base jump and did that hook turn and ended up in the hospital, Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So big damage. But anyway, so that delayed the whole thing until nearly a year when it came out. recently,
Right.
but it was pretty rad because I had to go back and film a couple things. I didn't have to go back and refilm. We were just a one take kind of. It was really, really unique circumstances during that shoot because the water level kept dropping because it kept saturating to the ground. So as that water they brought in this massive pump and pumped all this water from a really icky, water, Florida, there's water everywhere. They pumped this in and it would come up and damn near overflow, but then it would start to drain slowly. And then between takes, it's not like, okay, it comes through, turns around, comes back. I've got to reset. The biggest issue was somebody was like, you can't make any wake at all whatsoever because that will ruin Travis's whole, hydroplane effect.
Jeez.
Like from a safety standpoint, it was like made sense, but it was causing all this. We ran into so many snafus. I was trying to overcompensate and try to get it to work to try to be at the ready, yet not making a wake. So then towards the end, when that water level drops, Travis hits that curve and that shot, and he's coming in sideways off the thing. He comes out and we're talking. He's like, dude, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, I'm doing my best, but like, my hands are tied here. He's like, wait, who told you can't make a wake? He's like, dude, go do a setup wake. I don't care. And so I do, that's when we got the shot. Cause then I'm just there doing donuts, ready, kicked in. He comes by, I do the flip, and the shot went off great. So it was, damn, what a ride. What a ride.
That is hilarious. All right. Someone had asked this question, and I was trying to find their question to bring it up, but I was gonna ask. I mean, you've had a hell of a career. I want to talk injuries and surgeries. What's the list of injuries and surgeries?
Well, so far, knock on wood, I've had a really healthy career. Kind of been since I cultivated this from the ground up, just working at a jet ski shop, it was my 9 to 5. Like I've had injuries, like mainly my right ankle has been sprained probably 5 to 6 times now. Like not just like ankle sprain. I used to think it was like, oh my God, I sprained my ankle. It's like, no, dude, that sucks. It's like when you really roll that thing and your ligaments tear like they do when you do a free, like mainly like re-entries was always a thing. Landing into big foam balls and the ski doing all kinds of violent stuff, and you're in but you're not, and it just jars. Like it happens so fast. So that was super lame. That's been the extent of my injuries, was like really bad right ankle sprains, but the entire foundation of my riding is from my feet. I mean, everybody is jet skiing, right? But like more so with free ride, because I'm always articulating the ski to do the style of riding I'm doing. So, and then most recently, so annoyingly lame how it happened, but I was basically working in my backyard. I took a knee, just stapling something stupid. My knee is on AstroTurf, which is on top of gravel. Somehow, like, cracked the egg. It's called carpenter's knee. I get up, and my wife's looking at my knee. She's like, "Why is your knee all swollen?" I'm like, "I don't know. There was no ouch moment. It was just like, I don't know. Maybe I took a knee on a bee, or like it's inflamed." It was super weird. Ended up, I pinched the bursa sac in the little fluid knee cap in between your kneecap, and it expanded, and it makes your knee. It debilitates you. I wasn't able at first. It was like, oh, it's really sore. Tried to ice it, nothing happened. It just kept getting bigger and bigger, and then I couldn't go into bed. I had to lift whole bum leg. Could not I'm screwed.
Wow.
And this was couple weeks out, maybe a month out to World Finals. So I'm like, okay, started doing ice bath therapy, trying to reverse it. Went and got it drained at a doctor. He drained it, cortisone shot. Was like, okay, should be good to go. 2 days later, next day, I'm out of bed. I'm walking around. I'm like, woohoo, I'm good.
Right.
Give it a day to heal, because it did they poked it and they pulled out some fluid. Went out on the road because it's World Finals time. I got to train. I got an agenda, and I'm pretty confident that lake water, from doing the crazy impact of jumps that I do in freestyle through the wetsuit, whatever, lake water, specifically body beach water, which isn't always the cleanest, got in there, and it, got worse and worse and worse. And come to find out, it turned into a staph infection. And Yeah, because it just kept getting worse, and it got to the same point where I couldn't move my leg. It was getting pussy and like bad. Like my physical therapist was just, just shaking. Like, you get to the freaking get to the surgeon right now. And he's like, yeah, we gotta tear this thing. We gotta basically do an incision. You can kind of see it here. They basically did the incision, got in there and irrigated all the infection out. So
wow,
I've fully recovered since then. I've been on a fitness regimen and I've been doing really well on that. My ankle's still the thing that's giving me the most problems because I had sprained it at right before Huntington Beach, but then I did more damage because I stupidly, insistently wanted to continue riding. So I really kind of did more damage to it with it all, sprained for the next like 3 weeks. But whatever. That one's more spicy than my knee is, but I'm feeling better. Just trying to get my whole body back into where I was then is been a big game of catch up.
Oh, geez. Well, I thought for sure we were going to get a grocery list of collarbones and shoulders and back, and so you've actually been pretty good. So I got to give it to you, man.
I've been pretty good. I'm not always like the tip top rider, but again, like there's no real, silver spoon aspect to my career. Like, I built this, so I have a very fine line I have to flirt with, like, be extreme, but I also got to keep doing this because, like, two things. Like, harder to get paid, harder to get endorsements, because then that sponsor goes like, oh, but you're getting injured now. It's like, dude, like, we're in an extreme sport.
Too.
Yeah, but at the same time too, like, mentally, dude, downtime sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
I like riding. Like, you get hurt, it sucks. Just, it's terrible. So if I can avoid that with a healthy reason, yeah. So again, certain times push the limits, certain times more calculated approaches to it.
Okay. Well, cool. All right, so let's do the Hahn. I know we're way past. I promised an hour, and we're already 15 past. So I apologize.
Oh yeah, we can run through it. Yeah.
All right. So I was actually really in. One of the neat things for me was when we got introduced to the redesigned Ultras, was welcoming you along, which was cool. And so I talked with Kawasaki, and they said, we really like how Mark represents himself. He's very professional. We think he would be a really good ambassador to the brand. And so they were happy to bring you out. And then that's actually carried on into this year.
Yeah. So, built a phenomenal relationship with Kawasaki over the years, just kind of at least been insight in mind. A good friend of mine, Bobby Kearns, ended up getting hired with them to replace, but obviously can't replace Aaron Kress. God bless him.
Right.
But Bobby's in there. He's doing a great job. Introduced me to John Rawl. I have a bit of a relationship in history with Cowie through Performance Fiberglass, which John Crabb is Performance Fiberglass repair. I worked on my 550 there, learned everything there is to know about, composite work through there. Like, it was a work to learn experience. He's like a dad to me. He's like bleeds Kawasaki. He makes the step hole for them. So I've raced endurance on a sit down Cowie on an Ultra with a step bottom. Getting in touch with Kawasaki with John Rawl, it was like that trip that we took was kind of, it was they had nice things to say, but then we really got to know each other, and it's been really great ever since, because now they see the potential in what I'm doing with my platform and just enjoying what I do. I grew up riding a 550 jet ski. Like, Kawasaki is the OG. So now I have a chance. I have a SXR to ride from PR that I get to use through October, and I'm going to go do a lot of fun adventures with this. My wife and I, we got a Kawasaki KRX 1000 side by side 2-seater.
Okay,
we get to blast around Havasu and do some, like, we get to have fun. It's it's Kawasaki. It's good times. I get to still do. They understand that it's like certain machines do certain things, and I like to do what I do. But that's the foundation of it. And Kawasaki is so cool with working with me on that their support to be able to have these experiences has been so fulfilling. And then getting hurtled into the Mark Hahn race through Bobby Kearns and through Performance Fiberglass, that's just unfinished business. And I felt like this year we had a really good go at it this year. Cause I mean, I don't like sit down jet skis that much. They have their purpose. Right. They have their, no offense to everybody. They're just not my thing. Clearly got a lot of stand-ups in my life. But for endurance racing, that is I love hard work. And I love like when it's just really nasty and effed up weather. The Kawasaki Ultra platform shines. Like it is. I've ridden a lot of other manufacturer sit downs through choppy water. Years ago, I got to go do the Sky and Skiway show with
SBT
and SBT, and it was their article, their Watercraft deal. Anyways, I did that. So I jumped on all these skis, and there's a noticeable difference between them, like, and then the Ultra series, like. So getting on that, just the sheer confidence, but you still have to physically power through it and navigate the water. But yeah, we put in, Bobby Kearns and I were riding manufacturer stock on a 310 LXS Cowie, brand new. And we just put the laps in. We had a phenomenal pit team through Performance Fiberglass. We were consistent with our laps. We drove hard and we finished that race. And just a squeak of time behind Anthony Raddick. God, that guy's a stud. I mean, we won our class, so super pumped on that. A little bummed we didn't get the overall, but at the same time, like next to that guy, like, dude, it's all good. Well, like we rode our hearts out.
Stock, though.
Yeah, we got manufacturer stock. Yeah. We won that. But then, testament to the Watercraft itself, because you have to endure that race. It's 300 miles, over 4 hours of racing. And we put laps down, and Anthony was on I think a little bit of a higher class, like a little faster ski, right? But
he was modded,
mods to it. Yeah, it was modded. So, like it makes a difference in that time gap, but still just the fact that, that it's a proving ground for manufacturer stock is to be able to do an endurance race like that and finish the race and nonetheless win. So super good feeling, because if I'm going to race a sit down or be involved with a sit down, it's going to be in an endurance race. So that was really, really special to be a part of.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh, I definitely wanted to congratulate you on that one. I wanted to take the opportunity to be like, hey, listen, I mean, again, exactly to your point it is a total testament to the vehicle itself, especially for manufacturer stock, where it's like, listen, we're not touching anything on this stinking thing. We're just putting gas in it, and that speaks a lot. But, you got to have someone who's willing to white knuckle that trigger for 300 miles. And you and Bobby did a hell of a job. We have one.
We put the hammer down.
Yeah. We have one super chat that is for you. And then I'm going to let you go because I'm keeping you later than we normally are. This is from Henry. Yep. Henry is a regular to our show. Henry's he's a big stand-up enthusiast. He's a up and coming. I think he told me he's like 24, 25. He says, "Hey Mark, I'm so happy that you came on. I have a 4-stroke Superjet. Would a GP1 or Pro Force be worth the extra price over a Superjet or SXR? I plan on racing it every weekend and have the Superjet for casual riding."
Okay. So thank you for reaching out, by the way, and thanks for tuning in. My personal opinion, based on experience that I have riding the skis here, Taylor Curtis TC Freeride builds a lot of great GP1 skis. Dustin's brought all of his here. I've been on a couple renditions of stock to slightly modded SXRs. I've also been on the 4-stroke Superjets. The 4-stroke Superjet is its own platform. It's like, look at that one like a lights boat. Enjoy the hell out of it. Do some mods, get the intake rate on it. Enjoy it for the platform that it is. Unfortunately, you don't really, that Yamaha package isn't nearly as powerful and as race winning so far as the Kawasaki drivetrain is, because from Pro Force to Commander, GP1, all the Go, Dustin's whole program, those skis are using Kawasaki drivetrains. So if you want to do that, get this ski, transition it to a mod boat of your choice. And I highly recommend go ride one. Go see what suits your bill. I've ridden all these guys' skis. I personally have a pretty soft spot for the GP1. Dustin does an amazing job. with fast power sports on that. It's a really well-rounded ski. Haggis' Pro Force, I haven't got to ride his new 3.0 yet. He does a lot of work in handling, and that thing looks amazing. So you have to get on one, though. You have to get on one. Unfortunately, the way that they're putting them together is a lot of people are riding them with, relatively stock stuff in it. Reflash, air filter, intake rate, and ride plate. Like, there's not a lot of craziness to it that doesn't make it feel outside of your realm of something that you'd have at home. It's very there's good platforms out there. So go try it, go enjoy it. I recommend keeping the Superjet if you can, and then building the mod ski of your dreams, which is, going to put you in one of those classes.
Right. I tend to agree. I think the Superjet, and I was talking with Casey Malden when I got a chance to ride both the Superjet when it came out, and then the SXR was a couple of years before. And Casey's, I'm 6'2", and Casey's got 2 or 3 inches height on me. And
he's a tall boy.
He's a tall, skinny guy, and I'm not skinny. And so, between the three of us, nothing's going to fit all three of us. And he goes,
Yep.
well, what's your take? And I was like, well, the SXR felt big to me. The SX, because I was a big fan of the 800. And so for the SXR 15, or now they call it the 160, I was like, wow, it's really big, but boy, when it gets on the throttle, it gets on the throttle. And you're like, it really is a very potent ski. But when I got my hands on the 4-stroke Superjet, I was like, this feels more like a Superjet. This is not trying to compete with the SXR.
They really put it in their own class. Yeah, they did. They really did that. And it's like the 2-stroke era, they were kind of almost there together, but then clearly Kawasaki walked away with it. Later, now, the light Superjets are kind of coming back and whomping on the SXRs. They really refined it on a light scale. Now with the 4-strokes, it's Yamaha's over here, light, fun, nimble. Unfortunately, has a really gnarly cavitation issue when you're trying to really get it on an angle. Kawasaki, Musclecraft. This thing cuts through. It's massive. It's heavy, but it's the power plant's insane. The bolt-ons you can do make it really take out a lot of the every stock jet ski from the dawn of time is sketchy. You have to do basic necessities to suit riding fast in a straight line and handling. So they all need their little bits of work. However, I'm really stoked to be on an SXR to go do some fun rides. The Superjet is I would want it the 4-stroke Superjet. I'd see myself on that in the surf if the hull was a little bit stronger. And actually, if I was on a deserted island, and I had waves, that would be that kind of a ski I'd want for that, to have flickable, fun 4-stroke.
Right.
Actually, dependent, buoy riding, racing, cruising, reliability, all that, that's the package right there. It's really yin yang. They're in their own classes. So instead of looking at it what versus the other, you got to look at yourself. You got to look at what you like to do. And that's what it's all about. Don't go out shopping for, do what suits your style of riding.
Perfect. Well, Mark, I have to thank you. This was, we ran a little longer than promised, so I appreciate your time. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we were able to share some stories and, talk about your career and how, how our sport and our industry has grown and changed and evolved over time. And it's been a lot of fun. So I really want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now is your opportunity.
I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Now is your opportunity for gratuitous shout outs. If you want to thank anyone, thank your sponsors, and make sure you include your wife on that one. And make sure you get your thank yous out there before we sign off and say goodnight.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Everybody who's tuned into this podcast interview, I really appreciate you taking the time, hour and 20 minutes. It's, thank you for a little deep dive on that. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. I'm always available at Facebook, my website, to reach me there. Pretty open book, so contact me. I'm here to help. I do trainings. and just in general, always looking for out for people who have a vested interest in stand-up jet skis. So thank you to my wife, Kaylee, supporting me through this crazy career job that I've made and this whole journey of life here. My sponsors, absolutely, and some of the core fundamental people that got me into this. Somebody I didn't shout out, Gordon Elkers at Pacific Motorsports, and now PJS USA. Got me started, one of my first job, and I always never forget that. Arno at HydroTurf, one of my first industry sponsors. So thank you, Arno. Thank you, HydroTurf. My brother, Philip Gomez, really stuck his neck out for me and saw me as a kid when my first 440 blew up. And then I was absolutely shell-shocked, devastated. 3 weeks later, finds a clean 550 SX reed ski and shows up to my high school with it on a trailer. And I'm like, what is this? He's like, it's your new jet ski. I'm like, I can't afford this. He's like, you have a job. You'll pay me back. And I was like, and I did that for the next 2 summers. But that then catapulted me into just deep diving into, thank you to all the people on XH2O, Paul Lear, Taylor Curtis. I mean, I have so many people in my life that have been instrumental in helping me along with this, just a genuine, from day one to today, just genuinely interested in jet skiing. Tom Perry at Hot Products, my mother, Patty Gomez, thank you so much. Love you, Mom. Kyle and Ryan, Risen Wild, Liquid Militia, Black Rifle Coffee, I mean, one of my biggest title sponsors thus far. Paul Lee, one of my buddies who's really helping me out lately. Just a lot of people, all the people that I rode with, Zach Bright, Jake Bright, Chris Rosner, Ross Champion, Mike Serlin, some of the new guys I'm working with, Chris Morrison, just good people. And I got a lot of good people in my corner, and I'm blessed. Just can't say enough nice things. And also big thank you to Don and Dave Fiquette, KMG Racing, for the reason why I got into racing, which is honestly why a lot of this whole race program stuff, that really, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without them. So that, and then last thank you is to my mechanic hero, Ojino, in Japan. Phenomenal person, helps me do all this crazy crap I do on the freestyle jet skis. So wouldn't be where I am without a lot of these people and more.
Awesome.
So thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. Well, huge amounts of gratitude to you. Thank you again for your time. For all you guys who tuned in, thank you also for tuning in and enjoying this conversation with me. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out to Mark Gomez. It's markgomez.net if you didn't catch that. And if you need to get a hold of me, the email is down at the bottom. That's info@watercraftjournal.com. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys. Thank you.